A smack to the dome jolts a boy awake. His father, disgusted, calls him the family's greatest shame. Little did they know this. Urine mastered every fighting style in the crisis kingdom of the northern frontier. The army charges on. Its commander, Duke Ellen, is stunned, screaming this is impossible as zombies claw their way up. Ellen gasps that their numbers are beyond belief, and with them comes the toxic fog of a true nightmare. A soldier yells for the Duke to look up and he freezes. The Death Knight Durian himself is among them. Not one of the 10 strongest knights of the living could promise a win against that thing, he says with their current forces. They're hopelessly outmatched and must fall back, but Ellen shouts back that they simply can't retreat. The wall is already breached. If that gate goes down, the kingdom is done for. Whatever the cost we pay today, we have to stop them here. Just then, a blur shot past them. A young man, his crimson cape flowing as he cut through the battlefield. Ellen demands to know who's charging in so recklessly, but a soldier recognizes the figure. It's the backup from the Southern Roxmarks, the only warrior out there who uses daggers. The soldier screams. His opponent is Durian. A simple dagger can't possibly hurt him. But the blade plunges deep into the undead. It plunges deep, slicing the monster's form apart. Ellen is floored, and the knight asks if Durian is actually dissolving. He screams, asking how that's even possible. Urine unleashes a volley of daggers, each one hitting a zombie and dissolving its ghastly body, melting them all in one go. The soldiers wonder if he's a holy warrior sent down from the heavens. Urine scoffs internally. How ridiculous. He was just absorbing everything that was good for his body. 6 months earlier, a young man jolts awake lost. He gawks around as a woman approaches, calling him young master. Urine lifts his head, thinking she's a total babe, but her outfit is weird, and she's armed with a sword. The woman asks how the young master is feeling, saying she was about to fetch the priest. Urine slowly reaches out his hand, getting her attention. He just wanted to ask a question, he says, but she's already bolted from the room. He stumbles out of bed, wondering where the hell he is. Then he glances over and sees his chubby reflection in a mirror. He panics, wondering where his slick, handsome body went, and why he's now some pudgy kid, unable to process any of this. The kid tells himself it's just a nightmare. If he sleeps again, he'll wake up for real. Just then, the priest enters, announcing the young master has finally awoken. Just then, a man storms into the room, calling him a punk, snarling that the disgrace who stained the family name has finally opened his eyes. The priest begs his lord, saying the boy has only just awoken, and that punishment can wait. The lord grumbles, but the priest notes that for someone beaten unconscious, his injuries are surprisingly light. His mind seems clear, and his wounds have mostly healed, which is a blessing. However, the lord roars. He'd rather see him dead for getting too forward with his own fiancée. He calls him an animal, says he's 19 and needs to act it. Even his younger brother has awakened his aura, but this one's still just a fat slob with not a single spark of power. Urine mutters the words back, totally stunned. The lord turns, warning that when he's healed he will go to her and beg for forgiveness. Ur echoes. His father snaps, it's my wife Ilya. If she doesn't forgive you, you will face true punishment. Understand? The hero just accepts. The lord groans that in any case, you must stop shaming our family's name. Ur trembles, thinking times. Is this really my identity? Asterisk? Asterisk. So I must be Wellington Rocks. Asterisk. The lord is shocked to be called by his own name, yelling, you insolent brat, and slapping him for daring to say his father's name. The big guy got rocked for a few seconds. The priest tries to calm his lord down, but it's no use. Asterisk. No way, times Ur thinks. Asterisk. This has to be a dream times. Waking up a short while later, he jolts up, startled. Asterisk. Why am I not back in my own world times? A woman then walks closer to him, asking if he is finally awake. Ur calls Erin, and she answers but gets confused when he just stares blankly, not saying another word. Our hero asks, am I stuck here? Cause I messed with Ilya and got myself knocked out cold. Erin confirms but asks why he's suddenly so polite. Ur plays along, asking, did I really get beaten that badly? The woman nods, adding, to be precise, you assaulted Lady Ilya, and she beat you till you were out cold. The protagonist curses his fate, confusing the girl as he yells, I'm totally screwed, there's no doubt. Somehow he got isekai'd into the web novel he wrote, but not as the actual protagonist, but as the trash villain who gets owned by the MC and dies, miserably complaining that this just can't be his fate. Erin calls for her young master, but he's still freaking out, yelling this isn't a webtoon, a word she doesn't know. Asterisk. This body I'm in is total garbage, times Ur thinks. Asterisk. No talent, no skill, and zero effort. Asterisk. Just coasting on his family's prestige, he loses his fiancée to the hero, then tries to ambush the protagonist for revenge, but gets wrecked again, instead dying a pathetic death in some nameless back alley. Ur wonders how he'll survive in this crazy world, thinking it's fantasy, and he has no clue about this fat guy's powers. But at least I know about all the fated encounters and items the protagonist hasn't snagged yet. So he decides to get ready quick, sitting up in bed, but he's hindered by the awful center of gravity of his heavy body. Erin asks, young master, are you all right? Ur replies, definitely not, but then he sees something weird. The girl says he really should be resting. Asterisk. I couldn't see it before times. The hero thinks times, but that's why I was so weirded out. Asterisk. His system screen was floating by Erin. It read the girl's skills were Swift Sword, Clear Mind Mirror, and Aura Adaptation. The girl calls for the young master again. Ur plays it off, saying he was just out of it for a few seconds. But he's fine now and she can go back to her duties. Eren accepts and turns to leave as our hero watches her go. He thinks on Swift Sword. Originally, Eren was a way stronger and more talented character than your average knight. But what is this affinity, which is at 0? He wonders if it's some dating sim that appeared because he played way too many games like it. Asterisk. Seriously, what kind of half-baked world building is this asterisk? The protagonist thinks for a sec. Given Yur's usual trash behavior, the affinity not being negative was really weird. The main event, spotting his reflection while waiting for the system pop-up, he screams yes. He checks his status with Eye of Creation and 4 Heavens of the Tang Clan, realizing he's got some unique skills. But that one skill, 4 Heavens of the Tang Clan, it's from that wuxia webtoon he was obsessed with. Mainly cause the heroine was a total knockout. It's the clan of poisons and hidden weapons. The world's lore was a jumbled mess, but he'd wait. If he could master the Tang Clan's martial arts, his survival odds would skyrocket. It was the art of a legendary wuxia sect from the 4 Heavens province, famed for their poisons and specializing in silent takedowns. Why is it here in a fantasy world? Who cares? This means he can actually unlock his hidden powers. Wellington heads to his room when Eren calls out. He asks if his son's awake, and the girl confirms it. Wellington asks about his condition. Eren says he still seems a bit off. He stumbled, just trying to stand. His state looked poor. Wellington said. Father Eo claimed the wound wasn't deep, but his son was acting weird. Before being told to beg Ilya for forgiveness would have sparked a huge fit. But now he just accepted it. His personality's the same. He was just shocked. Tomorrow he'll be raging and plotting his revenge on Ilya. Eren says he'll recover. Wellington just scoffs and turns away, shocking the girl. He mutters that even his own father has given up on that boy, but she still has faith. He feels bad for her, thinking he should just let her be a knight. How hard it must be to serve under his son. But Eren disagrees. Today the young master was different in a way she just couldn't quite explain. Earlier, Eren had yelled, asking what he was doing. Yor replied that he just wanted to get a workout in, and told her to lead the way. Eren asked if he was seriously training now, and Yor confirmed it, asking what the big deal was. His creator's eye let him see stats, but he couldn't figure out how to unlock the Tang Clan's martial arts. Maybe his fat was blocking it. For now, he'd just have to exercise, till he figured it out. Yor groaned. This mansion was huge, like a few stadiums, and he was already gassed. But if he tried working out in his room, his blubber would just drag him back to bed. Yeah, exercising at home was a definite no-go. Plus, every servant he passed gave him a look of pure disgust. But considering the old Yor's rep, he couldn't really blame them. As they walked, Yor whined. "Are we close yet?" Eren replied. They were almost there. This was the 3rd training ground. Most knights used the 1st and 2nd centers. Yor's eyes locked on someone ahead. Affinity, -91. Threat, a one-way ticket to an early grave. The man was Rhea. He called out, "Young master, what brings you to my training hall?" Yor knew him instantly. The man chuckled. "I'm honored. The young master still remembers my face." Yor flinched, his eyes darting to the sword. He suddenly spun to Eren. Did something happen? Of what went down? Eren asked if he'd forgotten. A few years back when the Marquis dragged him to train, the ticked-off young master called Rhea a page. Rhea just laughed and swung his blade, and after that, the Marquis totally gave up on his training. Urine screamed that it was hopeless. Rhea shot him a look, thinking to himself, *Tisk times. This pathetic piece of trash. Urine decided to make a break for it. He asked if there was another training hall around, since he wanted to use one solo. Eren said this was the 4th hall, but it was way out there with shoddy gear, so it's most likely empty. Urien said that's perfect and he'll head there. If he's gonna drop these pounds, he had to do it for real. The bodyguard nodded and said to follow her. She led him to the 4th training hall, and Urien was already winded from the trek. He glanced down at an equipment table thinking the Sichuan Tang clan were masters of throwing daggers, so he figured he'd give it a shot on the targets right in front of him. Urien took aim at a target, raising the dagger to eye level. He yanked his arm back, then launched it with everything he had. But the dagger just clattered on the floor, missing completely. He grumbled, "Man, I really thought I could unlock it." But then he spotted Eren behind him, and quickly made an excuse, saying he was just messing around. He'd build up his basic stamina first and decided to run some laps around the hall. He was gonna train solo, so Eren could just do whatever. Wellington couldn't believe it, totally shocked that Urien actually went to the training grounds and started grinding. It was so weird, and he wondered how long this phase would last. 3 weeks went by, and the Lord noted that, for 3 whole weeks, he hadn't missed a single day. The young master had shed a ton of weight, and his whole look had changed drastically. Just as expected of his son, without the extra bulk, he was seriously handsome. He wondered if the kid had actually grown up. Back in his room, Urien thought he'd lost a lot of weight, but the Sichuan Tang clan skills still wouldn't unlock. He'd give it 1 month, and if it's a bust, he'll just go swipe the main character's lucky breaks. Eren suddenly showed up saying she'd brought his dinner, and the young master thanked her. It was shireen soup, a nutrient-packed meal, perfect for shredding fat and building muscle, but Urien just whined about the food. And Eren asked if he was sick of it already. He shot back that he'd eaten nothing else for 3 entire weeks. And the girl called out young master. She asked what he really wanted, to just lose weight or to become a knight. Urien shot back that he wanted to be a knight, and Eren said that around here, even the mighty Marquis drinks shireen soup post-training. So, the young master needs to quit whining and just eat the soup already. Urine begrudgingly gave in. He thought live and learn, I guess, but seriously, what kind of ancient custom was this? Whatever this soup did help him drop the fat, so he figured he'd just eat it for now. He scooped up a spoonful and brought it to his lips. But Urine noticed something was off and wondered what it was, because today, the Shireen soup tasted a little different. A system window flashed before his eyes, warning that he had just ingested poison. But another notification popped up right after. The user had now satisfied the conditions. The unlock condition for the Sichuan Tang Clan skill. This power was unlocked, leaving our hero totally dumbfounded. Suddenly, Wellington heard a knock at his door and told them to enter. It was his wife, who announced she'd brought some tea. Ka, his second wife, asked what he was staring at so hard. Wellington replied he was admiring how beautiful the garden was. Ka said she was personally tending to it with great care, and he praised her admirable skills, but his wife suddenly grabbed onto him, asking when he'd name Colin his heir like he promised. Since it's a done deal, they should get it over with. Wellington pulled away, calling out to Ka, telling her it was going to take a bit more time. Ka demanded to know why, since he'd promised to name him last month. The Lord agreed but added she must have heard. Lately, it seems Urine has finally gotten his act together, and he is the firstborn son of House Rocks. If he really tries, he could be a decent successor. Ka said that was true as she had heard the rumors. She was worried. But at least he seems to have recovered, which must be a huge relief for her dear husband. Kinda funny how getting decked by his fiancée is what finally woke him up. But Ka pressed on, what about the successor? The Lord said, Urim's only been training for 3 weeks, so it was better to just watch him a little longer. But he swore if Urine slipped back to his old ways, he'd instantly give the heir title over to Colin. Ka said she'd head to her room and told him to wrap up his work. As she finally left the Duke's room, she bit her lip, fuming. She muttered Urim's name, telling him to just you wait. Back in his own room, our hero was hyped that he'd unlocked the skill. He then recalled the Sichuan Tang family specializes in nasty stuff, and the unlock condition was to consume some. Pausing, he checked out the soup's status window again. It had a little icon, and he wondered what was up with it. Tapping it made the text scroll right down. Whoa, it even listed a Hyangang herb used for numbing effects. The young master looked thrilled, and Aaron seemed confused. Wanting to know why the young master wasn't eating, Urine said, I'm eating, and took another big bite. As he chewed, he mulled it over, wondering who slipped the special ingredient in, as Urine isn't usually taken down by it. Something had definitely changed the story's flow, and come to think of it, something hadn't happened yet. He pictured his father with Colin. Why hadn't his dad officially named Colin heir yet? Was it because he'd started training? Either way, this little surprise in the food must have come from their side. He swallowed the last bite, and bam, another system screen popped up. It warned that the conditions for a weak numbing agent were met. The young master declared he was done eating. That was so good I could just cry. Aaron was totally floored. Urine said he needed some alone time and asked her to leave. The bodyguard just agreed. She told him to get some rest, and that she'd see him tomorrow. Urine wished her good night. Once she left the room, the young master faced the mirror. Time to check out this Sichuan Tang Clan skill. He then commanded the creators, I to appear instantly. The system flashed his status. The sync rate had fallen to 97%. Called it a smart interface. Focusing just on the plus icon he saw, he now had poison martial arts and hidden weapon skills. First, he'd check on that. Only the weak paralysis skill was unlocked now, but he lacked an internal technique. The protagonist noted the many poisons scrolling down as far as he could go. The ultimate poison was invisibility. This means he must unlock the lower tier ones first, like a game. To get even the most basic paralysis ability, he'd need an internal technique. It made total sense. The Tang clan of Sichuan used internal energy for poisons. Now, to check the martial arts. There were 3 martial arts choices: the Black Poison Arts, Thunder Needle, and Divine Energy of 10,000 poisons. Said it's a no-brainer, especially for a wuxia fanatic. The Black Poison martial arts focus on poison. The Thunder Needle art is for hidden equipment, and the Divine Energy of 10,000 poisons takes longer to master. But it lets him power up both his poison and hidden equipment. He chose that technique without a second thought, and the system pumped energy into him. Gasped. This is unbelievable. The technique's mantras were burned into his mind. He had to try circulating the energy now. He took off his shirt and sat on the bed, gathering energy in his dantian. The kid felt a strange current in his body. This has to be qi. He had to guide it through his meridians and store it in his dantian for internal strength. The next day he finished his meditation. He yelled, "This is incredible. Those martial arts novels weren't lying about all-night training without sleep. This was his reality, and he wasn't tired at all. In fact, his entire body was overflowing with energy. He could feel a flow of qi all around him. He could tell how many birds were outside without even looking. He also felt a warm energy in his dantian, and now if he pictured it in his head, a status window would open, showing he had 1 star in the technique. The protagonist sensed a familiar presence outside. He stared at the door until Erin opened it, calling out to her young master here to wake him, but he looked fresh. He must not have slept. He just replied that it happened that way. She said that wasn't good, and he should rest for today's training. The protagonist refused, saying he was all set. He felt amazing, and was in peak condition, so he had to train. Erin agreed, and said she'd go get breakfast ready. She left the room wondering when the young master started getting so built. Out on the training grounds, approached the daggers on the table, muttering, "It's real." As he picked up a dagger he prepared to throw, But then he noticed something new. A crosshair appeared before his eyes, just like in a first-person shooter game, so he could aim perfectly at the target, moving fast while Eren watched looking concerned. Un hurled the weapon and it nailed the target, glowing with a purple aura. He then said, "I really did it," and the guard was impressed. The protagonist activated the system's hidden weapons. Eren called out to her master, questioning what he'd just pulled off. The protagonist said he had no clue either and figured last month's training was finally paying off. She shot back that there was no way. Totally floored, Yor thought. First time seeing her this shook. He wondered if he should give it another go. He held the dagger once more. He thought that when he threw it was like his internal energy would just surge from his dantian. And it was great because this time he would throw faster and stronger. He let it fly once more at the target, embedding the dagger. The target even exploded. Eren was completely stunned by this, while the protagonist just kept a smirk on his face. He thought having aim like a video game was basically a cheat code. Believe it or not, way back in the day, there was this first-person game called Battle Attack, and he won the online rookie tournament. Eren questioned what on earth that was. The protagonist then wanted to know if she felt anything different about him, and the guard repeated her question. She said yeah, and besides the fact that he looked slimmer than he did yesterday, she couldn't really say. The protagonist asked her about the weight loss. Eren confirmed it, saying he'd been training daily and drinking Shireen soup, but today the change was way more noticeable. The protagonist was confused, wondering if she couldn't feel the inner energy inside his body. This meant that in this world, only he could use internal energy and nobody could detect it, so he'd gained an insane power. He chuckled, wondering if he should continue practicing. He nailed the target twice in a row with total ease. He said this time he'd try something different. He embedded one dagger into the handle of another. He declared it was perfect, astonishing his guard yet again. She asked if she could try once, holding the dagger and aiming. The girl threw it with all her might, but it didn't even reach the target, hitting the side. Yor said, "There are just some things she isn't capable of," and the girl got super frustrated. Then the young man suddenly spotted something. A status window had popped up over her head. She had unlocked the direct cut skill. The protagonist reread the part about it being executable with any weapon. He said he would test it out, while Eren got annoyed that it wasn't working for her. He wondered if he should try with this. He told Eren to move aside for a second. She asked what was in his hand. As he was holding a busted wooden sword, the protagonist raised it up to its highest point, feeling a huge amount of internal energy in his body flow from his dantian to his arms. Thus he launched it, executing the direct cut. That broken sword embedded itself in the target's center and shattered everything around it. Eren was impressed, asking what in the world that was. Wondering what kind of power the young master had, Yor just replied he wasn't sure, and maybe it was just practice. His bodyguard responded that it was completely impossible for it to be just that. The protagonist said he knew about her reporting his training to her dad, so he had a little favor to ask. He wanted her to keep this whole thing under wraps for a bit. Eren questioned it, but Yor said he's testing stuff now and would explain later, so she should just wait. She simply accepted, and so the day passed on by. The staff clocked out saying, "Good work, and see you tomorrow." It was the same old song and dance for a guy named Peru, who just went with the flow. He strolled by calmly, then switched his path. Urine watched him, his eyes like ice. Time to activate Creator's Eye on him. Name Peru. Affinity 0. Skills, Poisonous Touch, and Agile Movement. Urine thought, this skill lets him slip poison into my food, so it was definitely this clown. Alright, time for the Times Real Times test. This little arrow floating in my hand is heading straight for that guy. He whispered the incantation, Paralytic Poison. His aura flowed to his 2 index fingers. Peru felt a bizarre chill run through him. He whipped around, yelling, "My body, it won't move." Our hero casually strolled up to the frozen man, saying, "Hey, test successful. The effect lasts 1 hour." He'd moved this guy first, hoisting him onto his back. After dropping him elsewhere, Peru was suffering. The protagonist said, "Yo, snap out of it. You back with us. Do you know who I am?" Peru was shaking with sheer terror. Our hero said, "Listen up. If you want to live, you'll answer my questions right. Was it you? Did you poison my soup?" He had a few things to ask this punk. Blink once for yes and twice for no. Simple, right? He then asked the guy if he understood. And Peru blinked once. Alright, let's ask again, our hero thought. Were you the one who put poison in my soup? Peru just stared back and blinked once. Urine pressed on. And the poison you gave me, was it the Hanyang herb? Peru flinched, then blinked once. Heh. Next question, the protagonist said. Was it Markwise Ka who sent you? Urine was shocked. Peru denied it. Don't even try to lie to me, he warned. I can see right through you. And if you lie, your life gets a lot shorter. Now, I'll ask one more time. Did Miss Ka give you the order? Peru looked even more terrified, shaking his head again. He doesn't seem to be lying, our hero thought. So who was it? But it was time for a little acting. Eat this, he said, forcing a pill on him. It's called the initial poison. The man gulped it down. From this moment on, our hero stated, you have exactly 1 month to live. If you don't get the antidote, which only I have after 1 month, every one of your organs will melt. So for now, you'd be wise to follow my orders. Understand? Peru nodded frantically. Then our hero touched his head, releasing the paralysis poison. The man was no longer bound. You can move and speak now, the protagonist said. And Peru obeyed. Urine said, I'll ask one last time. Who sent you? Peru trembled, his voice shaking with fear, saying it was the Knight Commander, Carrick's living tight knight. His orders were, the young master must lose his life as a soldier before the year is out. So Ka's older brother, he mused. He only got the commander spot through connections. Whatever. He then tossed a piece of paper to his new underling. Peru asked, Aren't these all poisons? Not many people know this much, our hero thought. He told him, a guy like you can get these on the black market. Use Carrick's money. I want you to bring me all of them, starting with the one you have by tomorrow night, Peru asked. But why do you need all of these poisons? Urine fires back, and who gave you permission to ask questions? The subordinate just hesitantly agrees. Urine turns, saying, let's get going, and another thing starting today. All my medicinal soups need a ton of hanging grass. Peru, totally shocked, questions this. Back in his room, the protagonist thinks, man, that was incredible. Martial arts are just insanely powerful, and he totally fell for my first poison, just some random leaves I grabbed and Peru bought it. But whatever, for now, I gotta hurry up and master the martial arts of the 4 heavenly tangs. If things don't go exactly as I wrote, the whole world is gonna face a terrible disaster. A full day later, Peru calls for the young master, saying he brought every poisonous herb he had on hand. Placing some roots and leaves on the table, the hero says, this is hyaenang grass, the reverse green creeper. And this one is a crow ink leaf. Peru is stunned. How'd you know? These are all super rare toxic herbs. Urine replies, it's basic knowledge. Asterisk. I can see it all with my status window times, but he switches the subject, asking why Peru brought the other poisons, if hanging grass would have been enough to do it. Peru explains that hanging grass is slow, and if resistance builds, anyone can tough it out. If you mix it with the green creeper, the effects become much stronger. Asterisk. So, combining poisons makes them more potent and harder to notice. Times our hero realizes. Asking where Peru learned about poisons, Peru says that, when he was only 8 years old, he was sold to the living Tyne family and learned from a poison master. There were 20 kids, but they all perished, and only he survived. Urine thinks times. Without a natural talent for poison, those kids wouldn't have lasted long. Asterisk. Asterisk. And Peru definitely doesn't seem to like that family. Asterisk. Looks like I've gained a useful ally, he says. You did well. That's all for today. Peru thanks the young master and wishes him a peaceful night. Alone in his room, the protagonist thinks times, alright, it's time to get started. Asterisk. With all these poisonous herbs right here, he's gonna eat every last one, popping one into his mouth. The protagonist gags, almost puking from the taste. His system alerts him, all poisons ingested. Extreme danger detected. You must meditate and ascend to level 2. The protagonist takes a deep, steadying breath, trying to concentrate with every ounce of his being. After another day passed, Ara knocks, calling for her lord. It's morning already. She sees the young master is awake and is stunned to find him sitting on his bed meditating. She wonders times, what in the world has happened to his body? Asterisk. Our hero hits 2 stars, unlocking the draconic treasure martial art and 3 new poisons. He then opens his eyes with a satisfied smirk. She wants to know what on earth happened to the young master, but then a weird smell hits her and she complains about it. The protagonist just accepts it, scratching his head. He thinks to himself times, right, that's true. Asterisk. When your internal energy and martial arts level up, your body expels a ton of impurities. He starts to walk, saying, it does stink a bit. I should open a window. Ara shouts, don't you dare, go take a bath now, as the day moves on. She leads the young master's way. Urine chuckles, already practicing the movements of the draconic. Phantom steps, an elite evasion art perfected by the legendary Tang family. He's geeking out learning a skill from a novel, he'll just mimic it for now. But Aaron calls for the young master, turning around, wondering why he's suddenly wobbling like a drunkard and what's up with his body. Our hero just grins, saying he's fine, and not to worry, all while swaying from side to side. Aaron asks if he's really alright since he's visiting Training Hall 1 today, and it's swarming with knights. Our hero insists he's totally fine, he's just curious to see how the other knights train, that's all. And she really shouldn't worry about him. Aaron warns they're almost there. The knights train intensely, slashing their swords up and down, side to side. A knight freezes, startled, asking who that person is. Because that woman is the eldest young master's maid. But who's the crazy handsome dude behind her? Everyone's stunned, recalling the young master lost a ton of weight from his intense training, wondering what sorcery he used to transform from a nobody. He thinks, it doesn't matter if they whisper. His inner chi lets him hear everything perfectly. Aaron points out a guy in the hall, a focused knight apprentice. But his form is impeccable. He'll likely be promoted to a novice knight very soon. These are the basic forms of rock fencing, so the young master should pay close attention. As Urine notices him, it's Clyde, a key character from the novel, who eventually becomes his staunchest ally. I never wrote his backstory before he was discovered. Clyde swings his blade from top to bottom, and Urine thinks it's wild seeing him here. A better chance will come later. For today though, these knights with a grudge against me will serve as my test subjects. First, I'll test the chain skill. He picks a purple-haired knight as his mark. He activates the skill, and the knight feels it hit him at once. Dropping to his knees as others rush to him asking what's wrong or if he needs the restroom, the man denies it, drooling while trying to bear the intense pain. He hits the floor, and the knights scream for a priest. But then the man's pain suddenly disappears. His captain asks what was wrong. The pain was just gone. The boss asks if he's kidding and tells him to hit the restroom. The knight tries to argue he was in serious pain. Urine smirks. This time, he'll activate the soul disintegration mist. It causes immense fear and confusion in any target within range. A knight yells as the man before him becomes a demon. Eren sees the knights on the floor screaming at some unseen demon to get away. She wonders why they're acting so weird. In his vision, the man sees a demon and a skeleton trying to kill him, swearing at it. But then it all just vanishes. They wonder what that was. Yours can't let them lose their minds. And that's enough testing for one day. The results were impressive. He says he'll head back. Eren asks if he's leaving so soon. Our hero says it's too rowdy here, and he's off to Hall 4 as planned. On the way, and a maid appears. She says the young master has a visitor. Miss Elia and Marcus are here to see him. The woman at the window vows this time she'll truly crush Urine's will. He turns to the protagonist, just saying her name. A girl's face suddenly goes red. Urine asks if she's here. Ilia doesn't recognize him and demands to know who he is. A moment ago, the maid announced that Ilia Marcus was waiting for him. He thinks his strong-willed fiancée is here to see him. This must be the scene where she demands to call the whole thing off. But the original Urine kept refusing, begging her not to. The young man figures the situation is unavoidable. Back in the present, he replies that it's him, Urine. The girl is shocked. He just says, "It's been a while." Ilia says she heard a rumor he'd lost some weight from his training, but figured it was fake. It's not even been 2 months, and he's changed this much. The hero just says he worked hard, which leaves Ilia confused. After that beatdown, Urine thought hard. Then he decided to change his whole life. Ilia asked if he was looking for revenge, but the young man simply refused. He knelt, thanking her for helping him see the light, and said he was truly sorry for it all. He'd accept if she still wanted to break off their engagement because of everything. She simply asked who he was, as if he were a total stranger. Urine said he was the former, good-for-nothing of the Rox family. Again, he deeply apologized for all he'd done. Ilia was stunned by this. The hero thought, to be honest, it's not really my fault, but the original owner of this body. His reason for asking forgiveness was tactical. Ilia was no simple heroine after all. She had the Sword Queen ability, which massively boosted her swordsmanship. Later, she'd save the fallen hero and even beat the final boss, all thanks to that OP ability. That's why, even if they broke it off, it was beneficial to fix their relationship and get her on his side. But Ilia told him to stand up, asking if he was being serious about all this. Urine said yes and promised, but she refused. She demanded he swear on it, all while unleashing a terrifying aura. He thought, this pressure is suffocating, and I've seen this scene somewhere before. Ilia said, if he really didn't want to live like before, he'd better not break his promise, or she'd beat him down. He was confused. The original Ilia had said this exact line to the old protagonist. Either way, he could barely breathe, muttering of the myriad poison electric divine art. Ilia was shocked as the protagonist simply stood up. She questioned how he was resisting her aura, but the protagonist just accepted and swore to it with a sweet smile. Ilia, embarrassed, turned to leave, saying she'd be keeping an eye on him. If he messes up even one more time, she'll end the engagement, no matter the reason. He was shocked they hadn't ended it already. At the Lord's castle, Wellington asked if she'd found Urine. The girl confirmed she had. He asked if she had made up her mind. Ilia confirmed again, stating the engagement will not be broken no matter what happens. Wellington demanded to know her reason. Ilia began, my father always told me that people can never change, but word on the street was that guy had changed and she got curious. She'd wondered if he'd gone back to being the weak but kind Urine from back then. But instead, he'd become a completely different person entirely. And that's why she wanted to give him a shot just this once. Wellington asked if that was it, and the girl confirmed it. But if he goes back to being a loser, I'll beat him senseless. Wellington said that's what he'd expect from a great warrior, and that she should look after Urine. Ilia decided it was time to head out. But the Lord asked her to stick around for a few more days. She mentioned telling her dad she was going to call off the engagement, making things kinda awkward. Wellington asked if she'd see Urine before she left, but Ilia refused, saying he was in training, since she didn't want to bother him. Later that day, Urine wondered why his father summoned him. He just shook his head, asking who in the world he was, and our guy just didn't get the question. Wellington just chuckled, saying it was just a joke, and that Urine had really worked hard, but asked if he knew why he'd been summoned here today. Urine asked if it was about his night training. Wellington said he'd nailed it, and that he'd gotten pretty sharp too. Now you will learn the swordsmanship of House Rock, he declared. Our protagonist then called out to the Marquis, saying he had something to tell him. His father brought up throwing arts, since Urine wanted to learn that instead of swordplay. Our hero confirmed it, and Wellington shot back that it was totally unacceptable. Such crude skills are used by bandits. With that technique, you'll never earn a knight's armor or even defeat a low-level monster like a Borak. So, Urine proposed a bet that he could hunt down a Borak with just a dagger. If Wellington was so confident, he should take the bet. His father called him a stubborn fool for no reason. A warrior's blade needs aura to bust a Borak's scales. Unless you've practiced that throwing art for 100 years, you'll never pierce a Borak's scales. Our hero said that in that case, his father must be pretty sure he's going to win then. So you should take my bet. His father called him reckless and said he'd use this chance to utterly crush his stubborn streak. When asked the conditions for victory, Urine said that if he defeated a Borak using only his dagger, he'd get to manage his own training, and if he failed, he would do whatever his father commanded. As the day ended, Our hero thought it was a good thing Aaron hadn't snitched about his training and that the real test would be tomorrow. He wondered how many tries it would take him to pierce a borax scales. Just in case, he'd eat some poisonous herbs tonight and raise his myriad poison divine body to 3 stars. He turned at the sound of a noise. Aaron called out to the young master saying she was there to deliver a message from the marquis, tomorrow at high noon. The location is the first training center. He asked if even she already knew about the big bet. And Aaron said not just her, but the entire estate already knew. Because of that, the whole place was just roaring with laughter. Everyone's gossiping about how the young master would totally freak out, or just run the second he saw the borak, and having a grand old time talking about it. After all, the young master was still public enemy number 1. Urine said, in that case, this whole crowd's watching tomorrow. Aaron confirmed it. The marquis ain't stopping there. The whole training center is going to be packed. The young master groaned. The price of fame, huh? He then asked what Aaron thought would happen. She said today's probably the young master's day to really shine. His myriad poison divine body hit 3 stars and the test's big moment arrived. The crowd went totally wild, screaming for or against the young master. Urine thought, man, this is so damn embarrassing. His father kicked things off, asking if his son was ready. The young man said yeah, but noted the massive crowd. Wellington claimed he only told his wizard, but the news somehow spread. Try not to be ashamed of it, he said. The wizard announced he'd begin with low-range summoning magic. Urine thought, I'm finally gonna see real magic. Suddenly, lightning struck the battlefield as a creature formed amidst the smoke. The protagonist thought there was something even more amazing, seeing a monster he wrote into existence right in front of him. A borak, a sea beast, 1.5 meters tall. The crowd thought they shouldn't even be looking at the thing. It was terrifying. The protagonist was impressed. This is exactly how it looked. This monster, the borak, was a beast he dreamed up while eating purple fish sashimi when he was just full of monster ideas. If it weren't for the legs and arms, it'd almost be cute. The monster then charged at the young man. Urine just saw the attack and dodged, slipping behind the beast. The crowd was stunned, and the Lord said, it's not over yet. The borak spun around, totally baffled. The protagonist thought, it just charged in without a single thought. But it's not as fast as I imagined. First, let's test how tough its scales are as he drew a dagger. Then he saw something new. A target-like mark appeared showing the creature's exact weak point. The protagonist decided to whip his arm back and throw the dagger. His kui flowed into the blade, nailing the creature's weak point. The borak felt a piercing pain and collapsed to the ground defeated, ending the show for the crowd. The protagonist grumbled, it really went down in just one hit. The people were absolutely floored, and Wellington was completely shocked. Everyone cheered for the young master, yelling that he actually did it. The young master beat the borak. It was so cool. They cheered for him until a voice suddenly yelled out, Urine Ubat. Demanding how he did it, the protagonist said he just aimed well and hit the right spot. His father whined that he couldn't accept it. A borak beaten by a simple little dagger, he said. That's just impossible. The protagonist asked if the great Marquis Rox was about to go back on his word. The wizard told the Marquis that right under the borak's arm there is a spot that has no scales, and the young master hit it perfectly. Wellington griped, it was pure luck, but the protag said, a bet is a bet. His father begged for just one more round, offering to add another promise. If his son wins this time, he'll be granted any wish he wants. But if he loses, he has to go back and learn fencing just as they agreed. And our hero was totally hyped. His dad said this time he's facing a real knight, not some weakling borak. He asked if he'd take the challenge now. The kid just smirked, sure, makes no difference to me. But inside, he was thinking the exact opposite. This was it, his shot to take on the Knight Commander Karox. Could this be my chance to finally crush that guy's pride? But he still needed Peru's poison, so he'd let him off the hook for now. Wellington said a real knight would be too much for him to handle, so he'd have an apprentice step in instead. And that'll make it fair enough. The kid thought, wait a sec, can I choose which knight I fight? He pointed, I choose Clyde. The knight then walked to the arena, his huge sword on his back. He said the mark had called for him. Wellington noted he seemed awfully sure of himself, giving Clyde a task. The apprentice accepted, saying he'd obey any command from his lord. Wellington told him to put that kid in his place. So Clyde turned around, but the young master just gave a little wave, leaving the apprentice totally confused. Wellington asked what was up if he wasn't confident, but Clyde quickly denied that, stating he'd do as ordered. The kid told him not to sweat it. He'd only toss 3 daggers. If Clyde blocked all 3, he could claim victory. Wellington questioned if he saw the boy's arrogance, insisting he teach him a real lesson. Clyde drew his sword as our hero circled the arena. The other knights warned him that if he were to lose this, he wouldn't get any dinner and would have to run 100 laps around the training grounds. A feminine voice from the audience yelled that the young master could do it. He thought, hey, somebody's actually on my side. Clyde then called out to the young master, announcing he was ready. Urine turned around, prepping his first dagger. He was going to start by taking out the lights. Compared to his fight with Borak, Clyde had way more openings. If he could just hit one of those spots, it'd be over. But he wouldn't let it end like that. He hurled the first dagger, deciding to just charge straight ahead. Good, Clyde yelled, raising his sword to defend. The sheer force pushed him back about 4 steps. The crowd was like, what was that sound? It sounded just like a cannon blast. Hold on, Wellington said, spotting the dagger as it fell. He picked it up, thinking, how could a normal dagger have so much power? Clyde was trembling in fear. His sword was completely pierced through. Our hero asked, "Warmed up yet? See what happens when you let your guard down." He warned him to get ready because this time he'd throw everything he's got. He released an intense pressure that made the knight in training tremble. He thought, even after this, Clyde is still a main character. He won't go down that easily. Urine decided it was time prepping a dagger for a direct hit. That tremendous blast happened one more time. As it neared the knight, Clyde tried to counter with his longsword, but a massive booming crash echoed through the arena. As the smoke started to clear, the crowd just stared in awe. The Marquis couldn't believe what he was seeing. Clyde was on his knees, trembling with pure terror. His blade snapped in two. He just dropped it, leaving Marcus Wellington totally floored. He called out to Urine, demanding a private word, but the hero said the duel's not done. He still had one last dagger. The Marquis was like, what? That was clearly enough, but Urine chose to ask Clyde himself. Telling Clyde to look up, the knight called out to his young master. Our hero asked if he'd just end it all like this, and if a guy aiming to be a knight would take this kind of shame. Whether he wins or loses, he must swing his sword till the bitter end. That is the true way of the knight. He then roared, asking Clyde one last time if he'd really just quit like this. The knight mumbled, calling for the young master, but then demanded a new sword to fight with. Rising up, aura flaring, he roared, he wouldn't go down like this. The knights were shocked, and the Marquis wondered how a total rookie could awaken his aura like that. Urine thought, just as I planned, Clyde's berserker skill has awakened. Now I can test out some real high-level moves. The two rivals glared at each other for a moment. Then Clyde called out to the young master, telling him to just throw the dagger. Wellington couldn't believe it. An aura like that. It was the talent of a high-tier knight. Wondering what Urine's next move was, our hero just smirked and said, nice. He took his final dagger, put all his might into it, and tossed it in a super clumsy way right at the guy. Clyde was like, what the heck, why was it so slow this time? He yelled that he was just being toyed with. He went to slice the dagger, but it just curved right around his blade. He was baffled, and Wellington realized what was up. The dagger sank into Clyde's side, nearly scraping his bones, sending waves of pain through the knight. He collapsed to the ground. People were confused. It was so slow, Clyde needs to stop being so dramatic. They all thought, is he going easy on him? Just because he's the young master? Our hero knew a ton of internal force was packed in it this time, causing agony. His father then called out to Urine, saying they'd talk later since he'd won today's bet. Our hero just cracked a sly grin. Clyde was hurting from the wound, but our hero touched him, said hold on, and used energy absorption. Clyde felt the pain just melt away. He thanked the young master, but Urine just said it was no big deal. The knight begged for his forgiveness. He explained that at first, with the slow dagger, he thought the young master was looking down on him. But that wasn't it at all. It was a super precise technique. Not even a master could learn a move like that so fast. So he had to be hiding his true power. Was there some secret group targeting the Marquis' family? And was that the real reason he'd been hiding his skills this whole time? No wonder it was so weird that only the young master got left behind. It was a noble sacrifice. Urine thought, this dude really loves his conspiracy theories. Meanwhile, Clyde said the young master's attitude, fighting this secret group, was truly admirable. If he ever needed Clyde, he just had to ask him. He wondered when his rep got so high, so he played it cool, saying they'd definitely meet up later. Figuring Clyde was just a simple, good-natured berserker, Clyde told him to just trust him. He'd blast the news that the young master was no longer trash, and ensure everyone heard the gossip. Keeping Clyde close could definitely be useful, since one day he could solo missions and that'd be a huge plus. Aaron then said the young master really busted his butt, and Urine just thanked her. She brought up his final move, saying she'd never witnessed anything like it. He said it was a brand new skill and asked for her take on it. Aaron admitted that while watching it, she couldn't help but think she'd have lost if she fought him blind, but now she was totally confident she could block it. He could tell she wasn't just bluffing, and among her unique abilities, she had the Tranquil Mind Mirror trait, a super rare and powerful one. Urine replied that she'd been training to be a knight since she was just a kid, and if she hadn't slacked off, she'd totally be a knight by now. He then asked if she was actually happy with how things are now. Aaron didn't get why he'd ask that out of nowhere. As the day went on, Wellington was chilling in his office. Our hero walked in asking why the Marquis summoned him. His father said, when it's just us two, drop the formalities. You can call me Dad. All this stiffness is killing the vibe. Urine just went along with it, still totally confused. His father asked what exactly that move he used yesterday was, because even after digging through all the books, he'd never seen a technique that weird. He'd only trained for 1 month, and no matter how much of a genius he was, mastering a skill by yourself is just impossible. He demanded to know what went down and told him to spill the beans. The protag knew he couldn't reveal that, but he had a perfect story ready. He declared that he'd found a special book, and his father asked about it. The young man nodded, explaining that while roaming the state library for training manuals, he just happened to find a book, wondering who'd just left it on the floor. He leaned back against a wall. Out of nowhere, a book tumbled from a high, dusty shelf. Its cover had no title, only a weird symbol carved on it. Our hero didn't think much about it and just opened the book. A bright light flashed out, zapping something straight into his head. Then the book just totally vanished. Wellington figured it must have been a magic tome. The protagonist agreed. He thought that a magic tome was its own set of rules, holding the power of a grand mage to pass down their skills. The Lord said, that's exactly how a magic tome is supposed to work. And even if he wasn't sure how it was likely left behind by his ancestors, discovering this book was a massive stroke of luck for him. The protag decided to chalk it up as an insane bonus. His father then stood up, saying that a deal's a deal and he wouldn't force him to learn swordsmanship anymore. As an extra bonus for keeping his promise, he should name whatever he wanted. The protagonist called out to his father in a cool voice. He said he wanted the position of heir, which left Wellington totally stunned. But even if he did this, his father couldn't just guarantee it. Wellington thought for a sec and said that with his power, he could do it. The protagonist wondered why he looked so. It'd be a huge pain if he became the successor, because a ton of people would flip out at the Marquis house, especially that girl who'd stir up a massive storm. So this time he decided to just let it go. His old man asked why, but quickly agreed and thanked him. Uruxi's spot. If he took over as successor, he'd be glued to the old man all day getting drilled on how to run the state. But screw that. He wanted to use that time to master the Tang clan's 4 heavens and roam the world hunting for power-ups. Wellington told him to name his price, and our guy said he wanted to build his very own knight squad. He wanted Aaron, his current butler, and Clyde, the dude he just fought, as his 2 founding knights. His dad said that's way easier than the Harris gig, and that Aaron was a rare gem of a talent anyway, so it's a total waste keeping her as a butler. He told Urine to go for it, and he just said thanks. The Lord then asked about a new butler since they were short-staffed. Urine said some guy named Peru was in the kitchen, and he wanted him as his butler, but asked if the Marquis would cover for him to make it happen. Wellington sensed something was up, but Urine just said he'd spill the beans later. His old man just sighed and agreed. He figured his dad must really trust him, not even asking questions. Come to think of it, he had no idea how his favorability had grown so much. Maybe just because he was his son. Outside, he announced that from this day on, they were his exclusive knight order. For now, they'd have to train like hell in combat drills. He also welcomed their new butler Peru, who just asked them to look out for him. Aaron was quiet, recalling a question she had for the young master yesterday. She'd asked him why he was putting this Peru guy in her spot as the main butler. He just scratched his head saying Peru was a spy, from Commander Karox of the White Eagle and Miss Ka. Aaron said. Even so, she couldn't trust a spy as a butler, but he shot back that Peru now only took orders from him. Clyde told the young master he had a question. Urine said that was great, and told him to go for it. The wannabe knight said that with just 2 of them, it's a knight order, but it needs a captain or a commander. Usually the captain's the one with the best skills, but Aaron's all delicate and doesn't exactly look tough, so he should be the captain. And our guy just replied, "You're right, the strongest knight gets to be captain. So you two are gonna have to fight it out right now." And in just a few seconds, Clyde yielded Aaron's blade, kissing his neck. She said his attack patterns were way too basic and he needed to stop telegraphing his moves so obviously. Clyde took the L and said he'd remember that advice. Our guy just nodded and declared that, with this, the captain of this new knight order is officially Aaron. Then he and Peru started clapping for her. Peru announced he was off to get dinner started and the day wrapped up. The kid figured he was far enough away, but could still sense some energy. Time to test his new skill using internal ki instead of his voice, to project sound waves directly into his target's minds. A classic wuxia technique. He then mentally called out to Peru. Peru heard the call, whipping around, but saw his young master was nowhere in sight. He called his name a few more times, leaving the butler completely spooked and confused. Moran then wondered why he was so surprised. Peru cried out that he was losing his mind, asking if this was some kind of dark sorcery. The hero just said it's a communication skill. Peru gasped, realizing it wasn't just the poison affecting his mind. He'd heard dark mages could do both. His young master had to be one of them. Moran just sighed and told him to believe what he wanted. He then asked if the poison he requested before was finally ready. Peru confirmed. Snake's mind, a toxin brewed from 100 deadly vipers, was prepped. Moran ordered him to dump a hefty dose of it into the celebration soup. Peru shook in his boots hearing this but agreed, saying he got it. The next day, our hero opened his eyes, post-meditation. He let out another big sigh. Still stuck at 3 stars, and his internal energy gain was slower than he'd hoped for. He wasn't sure how much time was left before the world's crisis, so he had to ditch the Marquis' lands for a while. He marched into his father's study flat out, telling him he planned to leave. Wellington questioned this as he hadn't left in a while, and figured he just meant some town in the Marquisate. Our hero agreed, and his dad asked for how many days. He inwardly smirked, knowing he was going much further, but no need to spill the beans, so he just casually said about a week. His dad got it since he'd been training hard, and asked who he wanted for an escort. Our hero replied that he really didn't need one, which stunned the Lord. He reminded his son of his status as the firstborn heir of Marquis Rocks. Moran just shot back that it was a local town, so an escort would be overkill. Wellington yelled that he still didn't get how tough the world is, and even if he got strong from training, he was worried about poison. Moran scoffed internally. Poisons were a total joke to him, but arguing with the old man seemed pointless, so he just agreed to it. His father then asked about his departure time. The protagonist said it'd be in about 2 days, and Wellington decided to get the escort ready from his room. Moran smirked. The escort was useless. He planned to slip out tomorrow anyway. As evening fell, our hero summoned Peru to his room. He told Peru he was taking a trip and was totally broke, demanding he bring some cash. Peru had to have the funds Rocks gave him for pricey potions. He then asked if Peru was planning on holding out on him. Peru quickly denied it, claiming it was an honor to help. The protagonist asked what else he had, remembering he'd seen Peru's subspace bag when he delivered the venomous herbs last time. It's a classic fantasy novel item, a bag that can easily hold around a ton. Peru agreed to hand it over, though clearly pained to do so. Muran snatched it up, thanking him since a backpack was now unnecessary. Anyway, he handed over the fake medicine, calling it a 1-month supply of the antidote for his poison. The MC said since Peru was shaping up nicely, he was totally counting on him for what's next. And if he kept it up, the full cure was his leaving Peru, totally hyped. The next day, just before dawn, Ura knew he had to slip out unseen since he was meant to have an escort. He glided through the mansion with total ease. The kid thought to himself, just as I figured, not a single soul is around. A gardener spotted the young master greeting him for being up so early. The protagonist just gave a slight nod, thinking, whoa, this nice-looking gardener is radiating some serious power. He decided to use his creator's eye, but what he read completely blew his mind. For the rest of the day, the MC realized this was his first trip from the Marquis's castle. Then he saw it, the towering magic spire. A mage at a desk spotted the kid asking how he could assist him. Ura said he needed to use the portal. The mage asked if he'd used one before. The protag said no. The receptionist then mentioned their mileage system, and the MC thought, so it's just like frequent flyer miles. The mage then asked for his destination. Ura told him ASU Castle. The receptionist noted the distance, understood. The fee will be 50 gold. After he paid, he just needed to sign the passport. The protagonist thought, pricey, just as I figured. But hey, good thing Peru's wallet was loaded. He used his gaming alias Poland for now. The mage told him to follow. He was instructed to go in the room. A knock would signal his arrival. The protagonist stepped inside. He mused on the beautiful design. Then lightning zapped the castle top. Ura had no clue what was happening. But then a man announced his arrival and that he could exit now, welcoming him to Asu Castle. Ura was confused. He hadn't felt a thing. The mage said the portal's comfort was a point of pride for them. Ura mulled over the feeling. Did he even write such a smooth travel experience into his own story? The mage urged him to use their services again and wished him a safe trip. Then the doors swung open, and the MC found himself staring at a totally new world. This was the legendary Asu Castle. Being an eastern region, the architecture was way different from the Marquis's land. Plus, the place was packed with people. First up, find the blacksmith alley. He asked a local for directions and followed a path to a small alley house. Ura realized he'd been searching a while, but still no sign of the unicorn blacksmith. The sky was already getting dark. This was the final spot on his list to check. A sword rested on an anvil. A blacksmith was hammering the blade into shape. The protagonist called out, anyone here? The smith saw the new customer. The MC confirmed but said he had a question about the blacksmiths here. He asked if the smith knew of a unicorn blacksmith. The man said he'd never heard of a smith with that name. Ura wondered if he was in the wrong town, but then the blacksmith spoke up. Whatever, that's the name I'm using for my shop. Urinox used his creator's eye on the smith. His name was Urinox, and he had the trait for making demonic weapons. Urinox knew he'd totally hit the jackpot. This was the spot. He asked to check out the weapons for sale. The blacksmith just gestured for him to go have a look around. Urinox scanned the gear on the walls. When he asked about business, the blacksmith just looked baffled. He mumbled that his shop was at the alley's end, and his skills were nothing to write home about. Folks drop by sometimes, but they just browse and bail. He sighed, unsure how much longer he could stay open. Asterisk. Interesting times, Urinox thought. Asterisk. This gear is the real deal. Asterisk. He then spotted the wind spirit rapier. It boosted attack and move speed, and then the fire spirit longsword jacked up strength and stamina. So he asked if Urinox forged them himself. Yeah, the smith said, but when I was actually done with them, they turned out to be complete duds. The finished blades were ridiculously heavy. A brute couldn't even lift them. So naturally, nobody bought them. Asterisk. It's because unworthy hands touched the blades, times Urinox knew. Asterisk. If the right person held them. Asterisk. The sword's true power would awaken. Not sure how it worked, but he declared he would take both swords. Urinox sputtered. But they're failed pieces, Urinox said. They were perfect gifts for Aaron and Clyde. Asterisk. Still not the treasure. I'm really after times, he thought to himself. Regardless, he asked if he had any super rusty weapons. The man was baffled. Urinox pointed to a box full of old junk. The blacksmith found it weird he'd want rusty junk. He was just gonna sell all that stuff off as scrap later. This stuff is totally useless anyway. Urinox reached in the box, a grin on his face. This is exactly as I pictured. Urinox saw the weapon, saying he hadn't made it. It was already in the warehouse when he first got here. He had no clue where it came from. Almost tossed it as scrap, but he decided to keep it around. Urinox declared he wanted that dagger too. Urinox was floored. Since you're only picking the defective weapons, just pay me 2 gold, and the dagger is a gift. Asterisk. What a steal, times Urinox thought. Asterisk. If he only knew the true nature of these weapons. Asterisk. He couldn't get these for under 200 gold. But even more important than the money, it was the blacksmith himself he was after. So he brought up Urinox's failing shop and offered him a job as his personal blacksmith. Urinox was stunned. This is so sudden, he stammered, not knowing what to say. He wasn't opposed to closing, but it was just too abrupt. Urinox figured a formal intro was in order. I am the invincible spear of the South Urinox of House Rocks. Urinox gasped at the name of the Marquis's young master. He dropped to his knees, begging forgiveness. He never dreamed a lord would visit his humble little shop. Urinox told him to get up. Urinox just replied that there was really no need for that. It's comfier this way, I can speak my mind. Urinox sighed but still told him that he should stand up. Asterisk. Guess you can't escape that feudal mentality times, he thought. Urinox asked why he'd hire a broke smith like him. The hero said, it's cause of his special talent. The smith denied it, saying his master just trained him brutally every day. Asterisk. Heh, sounds like some hardcore Spartangian-style training times, the protagonist mused. He then said, I've hit up a ton of forges today and seen all kinds of weapons, but yours, Urinox, are different. You show him so much care and dedication. Your swords are finely crafted and the grips meticulously made. That's vital so it won't slip in a fight. Seeing that passion, I believe you'll awaken a truly special gift one day. Asterisk. Can I really get this guy on my team times, he wondered. Urinox replied, I will follow you, young master. But you're nothing like the rumors. The protagonist smirked. You mean the one about me being trash? Anyway, let me show you something cool. He then placed his fingertip right on the dagger. Awaken with my blood, he commanded. Relic of a million forms, AN. The weapon began to levitate, floating from his hand. The blacksmith stared. What in the world? It's like a legendary ego sword. Yujin thought times. Originally, the main character was supposed to get this. Asterisk. The system asked form a soul contract with IN. And the young man accepted. The soul then morphed into a new form, speaking with a strange voice. It screeched. What the heck is this? Who do you think you are, trying to make a contract with me? You don't even have any talent times. Guess it's bummed about my lack of mana times, he thought times, but man, what an arrogant way of talking. Asterisk. This is so annoying, the sword huffed. A guy like you actually wants a contract. Anyway, how do you know about my release enchantment? The protagonist replied. Heard it from a great prophet. Asterisk. Totally just pulled that out of thin air to make it all sound legit. Asterisk. AN scoffed. How'd a great prophet talk to a nobody like you? And anyway, you must know my abilities. He confirmed freeform gear, splits into a main and secondary body, and it can morph into any form the user imagines. In the original story, the protagonist used a sword and shield. Even if the secondary weapon is lost, it just zaps back to the main body. Ain sneered. You probably can't even use it since it only works with mana. You should just give up now. The protagonist just watched silently. She's the noisy type, he commented, pointing at the weapon. Asterisk. I can probably just use it like a ring. Asterisk. Ah, it's hot. It feels like I'm melting. Ain shrieked. Asterisk. My internal energy works well with mana times, he thought. Anyway, Urinox, how long do you need to stay here? The blacksmith replied, 2 days should be enough. In 2 days at dusk. He was set to meet him at the castle's central park. On his way, a voice called out. Ilya questioned, what is that, and why are you here? Leaving the protagonist totally stunned. He had the same question thinking times, this scene, in front of Central Park. It feels familiar. Asterisk. This was the exact spot where the original protagonist first met Ilya. The girl asked, what's wrong with you, Yujin? The young man apologized, thinking times, the original story. It's already changed. Asterisk. Ilya dismounted. I asked you why you're here, the protagonist stammered. I was, looking for a blacksmith. She thought that was strange, since the Rock's family had plenty. Urine explained he wanted to hire someone from the outside. The girl said if he just asked she'd have helped, but our hero had already found a solid candidate. Just then he approached. Young Master Urinox called, did you wait long? Our hero just shook his head. Said he'd arrived right on time. He was about to introduce his fiancée Ilya when some loudmouth cut in. Yelling for the team leader. They were shipping out and demanded to know who this guy was. Ilya called Musk over and introduced her fiancé. Rox. The guy repeated the name, his voice trembling. He stammered, it was wild to see a marquee Rox family member out here. Identifying himself as the commander of the Marcus family's 5th Night Division. Musk Malone. That was his name. Our protagonist said it was a pleasure to meet him. I already know all about this guy, he thought. To be blunt, Musk was just a pathetic, totally boring side character. While Musk and his knights were on the move, some kids blocked their way. And that's when our hero stepped in. And a fight erupted, of course. Ilya showed up in the nick of time to shut it down, and that's how they first met. But the key event is when the protagonist joins Ilya in battle and pulls her back from the brink of death. But I can't just let that protagonist show up again. So I have no choice. I absolutely can't let her die. He called out to her asking where she was headed. Ilya said, with the orc waves swelling near Asu Castle, her knights were ordered to crush them. The protagonist saw his chance and asked for a favor. He wanted to tag along. Ilya, of course, questioned why. Our hero explained that, as someone still in training, he needed real combat experience and wanted to test his mettle. Ilya warned it was dangerous, but he just shrugged it off, saying he was great at running. The girl paused for a beat. She agreed and ordered Sir Musk to get him a horse. He tried to argue this wasn't some pleasure cruise, and that with orcs around, they couldn't afford to be careless, especially since he couldn't sense any mana from Urine and had zero obligation or desire to play bodyguard. Ilya cut him off, saying it was an order, so he needed to shut up and do it. Musk grumbled his assent, saying he'd get it all ready. If it was an order, he'd do it all right. A dark aura practically oozed from him as he shot a glare back. Our hero and Ilya just stared at each other, the silence hanging heavy. As the day wore on, she noted it was getting dangerous, and her fiancé should stick close. Urine just agreed. He told Urinox to hang on tight, and Urinox confirmed the young master's order, and so the army marched onward. In the region just ahead, Ilya announced they'd split into teams of 5 to locate the orc village. No engaging first. If you find it, fall back and signal. Then they split up, and she led her team down one path. They pushed onward as the day bled into the darkness of night. A soldier griped that the tracks were faint and spread out. It was getting dark, and he asked for their next move. Ilya said they had no choice. For now, they would head back. But then a sudden sound shot through the air. A signal flare. And there was one from a different direction. Then more from all over. Ilya demanded a count. Now seeing 5 signals, but Urine fudged the count at 4. The leader decided to hit the northwest desert first. So they blasted off in that direction. Ilya noticed it right away. All her soldiers were totally lifeless. Her squad was completely floored. Even their armor was melted. They wondered what could have hit them. Ilya ordered them onward to the southern flare signal, so they bolted in that direction with all haste. And when she got there, it was the same damn thing. All her soldiers were completely lifeless. Her man warned they had to bounce to the next spot fast, but Urine cut in saying they couldn't move yet. Ilya questioned him, calling her husband's name. He warned her, the orcs are picking them off one by one. At this rate, we have 0 chance of winning. We gotta abort the mission and pop a flare to regroup here. Her soldier snapped at him to be quiet, saying he knew squat about their tactical formations. He griped that this whole mess was cause of some scrub like him. Urine remembered. The OG hero got blamed too. He got flamed by readers for that frustrating plotline and was now seriously suffering from PTSD. Musk sneered. Urine knew zip about combat, but our hero told him to shut it, leaving the soldier totally stunned. He suddenly hit the deck in pain, but Ilya wasn't having it. She called her fiancée, as he told the grunt to know his role. Musk got the message and begged for forgiveness, while our protagonist just watched him squirm. He faced Ilya, thinking how in the original she ignored the hero and got lost in her own head. Urine told her to see for herself, asking if now was really the time. Ilya finally conceded that he was right. If she failed to think clearly about the whole situation, they had to pop the blue flare immediately and rally all the troops right here. A moment later, the signal blasted sky-high, visible across the whole forest. Urine chilled with the crew. Juranox said the young master was insane. He totally bent the situation to his will. And our hero just replied, "It was nothing." The blacksmith said the troops would regroup with them. But Urine said most soldiers probably wouldn't make it back. He reflected it was because of that scum Karuta dealing with them. Juranox called out to the young master, asking what he was waiting for. The hero replied, "This is a real battle." A grunt sprinted over and yelled for the squad leader, telling her to bail, that she had to get out of there now. Ilya questioned him, whipping her sword toward a sound. A massive horde of orcs was marching right for them. An absolutely overwhelming army. Musk whined that it was a crazy number of monsters. Ilya was stunned, apologizing to Urine, feeling like this whole mess was her fault. But our protagonist just told her it was fine. "We're not gonna die here," he assured her. She then asked what her fiancé was planning to do. He called AWAKENS, saying they'd test their 2 days of practice using the fake body to forge some black iron pellets. The 3-star ability he got from the body, which he hadn't had a chance to test, was the black iron explosion. He then launched the pellet at them, pulsing with immense energy. The ball just pinged off an orc's axe, and they all started laughing. Then kaboom, the whole area just vanished in a blast. Their ranks were totally decimated by his one strike. He flicked his wrist, recalling the black iron blast, realizing Agna's power must be fueling her skills. The remaining orcs charged the young man a foolish move as he just casually launched another ball. Another massive kaboom rocked the entire zone. Ilya yelled. "What was that?" he said. "Black iron spheres. I'll give you the deets later." Regardless, the orc horde had been seriously thinned out. Ilya yelled. "What is my army doing? We can win. Now's our shot, so take down the remaining orcs now." Charging the beasts, Ilya managed to peel one off. Her squad, giving it their all, managed to jump the other. A lookout orc was stunned by the sight, then it came face to face with a crimson figure, and this time, looking up in sheer terror, the figure snatched its head in one hand. Ilya and her squad whipped around. She gasped. "What is that thing?" It was gigantic. That creature just popped the orc's head, our hero thought, so it finally shows up. That was Karuta, the legendary orc champion. If they don't take down this arrogant beast today, everyone here is dead meat. Karuta let loose a roar that shook everyone to their core. He braced his sword, and then launched himself right at Ilya. The girl yelled, trying to dodge, but her husband held her tight. "Why are you just standing there?" He yanked her out of the attack's path. "That was way too close, you know." Ilya was devastated seeing her soldiers down for the count. Karuta roared, locking eyes with our hero. Our hero just chucked a black iron explosion at him. It rocketed toward the orc's neck and went off with a bang. But Karuta was completely unfazed and just roared again. He grumbled, something stomping toward them. He cursed. It didn't even work. He was built like a true orc warrior, and his skin was as tough as steel. Ilya cursed the monster, demanding how he dared to crush her squad like this. Her sword aura flared to life. "I will never forgive you." Then, she blitzed forward with her skill at max speed. Her blade clashed with the orc warriors. They traded a few blows. But Karuta was an immovable wall, blocking every single hit. The subordinates cheered for their team captain, yelling she was so cool. Our hero thought, yep, that's Ilya. Her sword queen trait is just plain overpowered. But this is still the start of the novel, and she's already strong enough to be pushing Karuta this far, even managing to cut his armor and skin. The monster raged, getting hit for real, making the girl stare. he roared as his aura exploded out. Ilya was shocked. He can use aura too. Karuta glanced aside and swung his blade, forcing Ilya on the defensive. And just like in the original story, she was defeated by Karuta. Her soldiers rushed to their captain's side. "This is humiliating," Ilya muttered. "I can't beat this monster. We have to run to survive." But our hero stepped to the front line. The orc grunted at him in its guttural tongue. Meanwhile, the protagonist just gripped his dagger, prepping for a throw. He fired his energy blast right at the creature. Karuta just casually slapped the attack aside. Ur figured his dagger a feint, with the blast was shattered on impact, just as planned. The beast turned, trying to parley with our hero again. But it froze, confused, spotting a little something on its shoulder armor. It was residue from the black iron bomb, starting a massive chain reaction. Karuta was seriously wounded by the hit, rendering his right arm useless. The first dagger he threw was a total fake-out. Karuta was too busy blocking the direct hit to notice the real threat. So its skin is like steel, huh? But not its whole body, it seems. Its weak point was still the crack in its armor, not an easy shot. The golem trembled, terrified of what our hero was planning. It then charged him with raw instinct. It went for a wide slash, but Urine smoothly dodged the attack. The monster attacked over and over, but he dodged every single time. Urine just twirled his dagger, asking what it planned to do. Just then, another bomb went off. Our hero smirked. This was the only language it feared. But he had no intention of making this easy for the beast. The orc then turned its gaze toward Girinox. It stomped towards the old man. As our hero yelled for it to stop, Karuta lunged right for the blacksmith. Our hero cursed the situation and unleashed his inner power. He absolutely had to save the old man. He poured every last bit of energy into his draconic treasure steps. The monster swung down on the blacksmith, but our hero intercepted, moving so fast he left an afterimage. The blow slammed the ground as Karuta spun around. "Impossible," Ilya gasped. "That speed just now. It was unreal." Our hero decided it was time to end this. He summoned a legendary hidden weapon of the Tang clan's four heavens, the flower butterfly. He then launched it at the orc with a wicked curve shot. The butterfly drifted slowly towards the orc, its movements graceful and delicate. Ilya whispered, "What a beautiful attack." As the orc trembled in pure terror, it tried to bat the butterfly away with its sword, but the tiny thing evaded every swing. It finally slipped past its guard and gently touched its chest, making the orc let out an unholy scream, causing a final massive explosion. Urine watched on a bit tense while Ilya was just speechless. Our hero wasn't positive, but with all that power he'd pumped into the bloody flower butterfly, it was more than enough to shred that orc warrior. Truly overwhelming. "He's down. We won," Musk yelled. Ilya turned and declared, "It's not over yet. The smaller orcs are still left." She ordered her army to finish them off. Girinox thanked the young master for saving his life. Our hero mused that his first real battle had safely ended. Later that night at the camp, our hero asked Iliad if she was okay. She shot back, "Do I look fine to you? But I owe you one, so I can't really complain." Our hero said it was no big deal that they helped out, and only natural considering her earlier request. "I don't train with a sword but with hidden weapons." This left the girl totally confused. Our hero confirmed it. "Yep, that explosive sphere and the butterfly I used at the end, both are my hidden weapons." She couldn't believe it. They're just so powerful. He was amused that she found it so hard to accept. He bet she'd spent her whole life believing the sword was the ultimate weapon. Well, her world just got a whole lot bigger. A knight told the captain the magic bag was ready to go. Ilya accepted, saying they couldn't find all the bodies now, but they were definitely grabbing the leader. She drove her sword right into Karuta's body. Then she stood up, remarking that its size was just insane. If they tried to stuff it in the magic bag, it would never fit. Ilya said, "It's okay, we're guards, don't feel bad. But night's falling, so we need to head back now." They rode on horseback until Musk finally met the captain. She demanded to know where he'd been. The fire signal was ages ago. The man looked baffled, saying they were jumped by orcs far out, and the fight had delayed them. Ilya understood, but asked where the others were, since only 2 were left. Musk replied that they were all defeated, and the orcs were way stronger than they thought. But the captain demanded to see the bodies, ordering them brought to her. While the knight tried to change the topic, he edged toward her as Ilya continued to give her orders. He then announced, "I'll explain our starting positions first," as he sneakily drew a dagger to strike Ilya. But our hero intervened. Musk crashed to the ground. Urine scoffed, "You claimed you were fighting orcs, but you don't have a single drop of green blood on you. You were clearly in cahoots with the creatures, leaking intel from the very start." Musk gasped. "How did you know Ilya drew her blade?" "That's how." The man pleaded that the Malone family had served the Marcus family with honor, but she just brushed it off as nothing. She told him to just save his breath. And so, the night went on. At the noble residence in Asu Castle, Germanox woke the young master, calling his name a few times. Urine sat up, asking what he wanted. The blacksmith said it's nearly lunchtime. Also, Captain Ilya is here to see you. The girl appeared in a black dress, asking if her fiancé had slept well. Our hero was completely dumbfounded. He wondered what was with that outfit. Ilya replied that Urine had to come to her house. Her father ordered her to bring him, then she asked if he would come. The protagonist thought, "Man up close." Calling her the world's most beautiful woman is no exaggeration, and he told her he absolutely would. Ilya said she'd be waiting out front and he should get ready to go. Urine started to put it together. He realized her favorability had shot up just from him helping her that one time. Outside, our hero called to Ilya sorry for the wait. The crowd was glorifying the iron-blooded knight lady Ilya, who single-handedly took down the orc warrior, and the glory was all hers. Urine thought, she got that title for never giving up, even facing death. It was just like in the novel. People also yelled that he was Lord Urine, the Iron Mage, and that he was incredibly handsome. The protagonist was totally bewildered by this. He thought these nicknames must have spread from the soldiers. They saw me using metal orbs and think I'm a mage. While Ilya suddenly called his name, she said she knew she'd said it, but was so grateful for being saved 2 times. Our protagonist said she didn't need to bring it up. It was only natural. The girl announced that at dawn, she went to the forest to recover the bodies from that awful battlefield. It was gut-wrenching to see them all around the forest. Then a chilling thought struck her. If he hadn't stepped in yesterday, they'd be just like them. Our hero looks down, lost in thought. Ilya vows to train like hell and get way stronger. She'd crush everyone, no exceptions, and never taste defeat again. Urine thinks, whoa, her potential is seriously blooming. The mages prepped the portal to Marcus territory. Ilya said, since it's close, her dad sent the family's magic squad. They had to move fast, meet inside the portal. The mages started chanting, and the teleportation spell flared to life. Urine and Duranox were totally floored by this. Ilya mentioned it's been ages since he'd been to her turf. The hero thought, the whole scene just flipped, and felt a little woozy. Duranox wondered if all noble houses were this ridiculously huge. Anyway, looks like our hero was summoned for a meal. In the novel, the hero only ever ate Urine soup from the Marquis's land day in and day out. But today, he'd finally chow down on real noble grub. The Marquis welcomed his future son-in-law as Urine went to bow. But the Marquis was like, just sit, no need for all that. The young man just nodded and sat down across from Ilya. Marcus said first things first, he had to thank him. Before she was his fiancée, she was his daughter, and he owed him for saving Ilya's life. Our hero said it was no big deal, just what anyone would do. Right then, the food was served to them. The hero waited with bated breath for the big reveal. It was the Marcus family's special Urine soup. The Marquis said, just like the Rock family, they have their own secret recipe, and their tradition is to eat Urine after a big fight. So he told him to dig in. Urine thanked him for the meal, trying to hype himself up that he could handle this. Then bam, mid-meal, the Marquis asks when they're planning on getting hitched. Our hero was totally blindsided. And the Marquis specified it was about his daughter. Urine thought, this has to be a test. The guy probably hates him. His affection stat is -10, even after he saved his daughter, so he shot back he'd marry her right now if he could, making Ilya blush like crazy. Our hero went on saying he wasn't the family heir yet, and his crappy past made everyone look down on him. To be worthy of Ilya, he'd completely transform himself. Once he was the heir, he'd make her his wife. The Marquis challenged him, asking if that was even possible, since his little brother was supposedly some kind of genius. Could he really surpass him and become the heir? Urine shot back that he was more than capable. The Marquis laughed, saying he really had changed, just like the rumors said. He'd even back him up. But then he switched gears. He mentioned that before Urine got there, a message arrived from Wellington. Word of his arrival already got to the Rock family, and someone hit him up via magic comms. Our hero immediately asked what his old man said, and the Marquis replied, they'd talk after the meal. The hero just thanked him and glanced over at Ilya while she was eating, wondering why she was all grumpy again. Oh, well, at least it seemed he'd made a decent impression on Marcus. In a different room, the call began. A mage brought the communication orb to the Rock family's estate, then started projecting the Lord's image. The hero thought, so it's basically like a projector or a video call. The young man cried out to his dad for forgiveness. His father cursed the brat, then asked if he was hurt anywhere, and our hero denied it. Wellington switched topics, wanting to know if it was true he'd saved Ilya and beat an orc warrior. The protagonist replied that he just got a little lucky. His dad got it, saying he'd hear the details on his return, and asked when he would finally come back home. Urine decided he'd return the day after tomorrow. His dad warned him to bring his brother, leaving the young man stunned. The Marquis said Urine was leaving early tomorrow, but it'd be great if he stayed a few more days. And Urine replied that he wanted to, but his father had already given him a mission. The Marquis said it was a shame, but he'd provide a magic portal so he could travel in comfort. Urine sighed a bit, but refused despite his thanks. He was at a level where he had to hone his skills by training himself. Yeah, it's better not to get lazy with a teleport. The Marquis said he'd truly become a different person. He was psyched to see how strong Urine would get, and the hero thanked him. Ilya smiled at his response. Asterisk. Heh, she must have liked that, times, Urine thought. Outside, he knew he had a reason not to use their family's teleport. Duranox said the capital was the other way, and Urine had claimed that's where they were headed. The hero announced they had to stop somewhere first, at that huge mountain. Near the mark, it was known as the Dragon's Clearing. Duranox questioned this, saying he wanted to go there before the forge. He asked if the young master was also there to make a wish, but the hero shot him down. Asterisk. Nope, I'm taking a treasure times, he thought. ×1 the original hero would have found way later. Asterisk. They kept walking through the area. The cave, Dragon's Clearing, was the species' ancient home. His subordinate noted it was early, but tons of people were here. He asked if a treasure was really here, but the hero said that was a lie, and the world's full of secrets, so Duranox should just follow him to the mountain's front. And Duranox agreed. They walked on the blacksmith, panting that there was nothing here at all. The protagonist wondered if this was it. the entrance he'd set up to look like a car door. He glanced around, checking if anyone was watching. The hero decided to just open the car door. They were stunned as the door took shape and slid open. Jurnox gasped that this was totally impossible, but the hero just motioned them inside. They walked in until the stone sealed shut behind them. The blacksmith noted it was brighter than he'd expected. He saw that it was a huge gemstone. Urine snapped not to touch it, or a trap would spring. Jurnox asked what kind of trap, and the hero said the whole place would probably become a sea of fire. There are traps everywhere, so Jurnox needs to stick close to me. And the blacksmith just obeyed. They walked toward an altar up ahead. Jurnox said it was incredible, but there was nothing on it. The hero then asked if Jurnox really knew what was lurking behind it. The fake dragon's domain ended here, and beyond that wall, he sensed the energy of people. Whoa, they were praying to us. The protagonist figured he'd check out the treasure regardless of the audience. He shoved a handle under the altar, opening the way. Jurnox gasped, "No way." It was 3 whole bags filled with gold coins. Urine grabbed a box, thinking this was way more valuable than gold. It was the warrior's jade, an item with a rebirth effect, a must-have for getting stronger. They moved on, and Jurnox asked him where they were headed to next. Urine shot back, "The magic tower in Jesu Castle." The blacksmith noted that even at this late hour, a crowd was still praying out front. Then he felt a calm but immense pressure. He used his creator's eye on the woman, but nothing. The protagonist thought times, "Wait, she's not supposed to be in the novel until way later, asterisk." Jurnox asked what that was all about. The protagonist reeled. Her aura was overwhelming. She was a being that he couldn't possibly take on now.